I believe that only the truly brave can look at the world and understand that all of it, gods, men, everything else, will end badly. No one will be saved.
Maybe we've got more in common than I thought.
What about you? What turns of fate have brought you here?
It's a long story. And we don't have the time.
Got more time than your friend, sadly.
Step lively, Hector. Any last words?
Get it over with. Motherfucker.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video where we're going to be doing some screenwriting with Claude again this time. And it had been a while since I had done a video, so the last one might have been a little discombobulated. So I wanted to I said that in the comments that I planned to kind of go through and deep dive and do a little more in depth. So what I went ahead and I wanted to get that first one out though, because Claude was very impressive and I knew people were talking about it, so I just wanted to get my opinion out there that like, hey, this thing's good at writing. And then I showed you a few reasons why, but I want to illustrate a little more clearly. I was doing a little fast and loose there, and I've kind of refined it a bit more to go with what we were doing in the previous videos from like a few months back, from when we were first writing with GPT, and now we're gonna use those same concepts that we use there. And all that information, it's if you've been sitting around writing for the last few months and coming up with all these character templates, the log lines and everything like that, now you've got a new tool to use all that information. And I'm gonna kind of go through and show you what I'm talking about. All right, hey guys, so yeah, it's me from the future. I'm just gonna do this quick aside because it's really gonna benefit you to know how to do this. I did it later in the video, it's just better to do it now. So I'm gonna show you real quick how I make these concept files. Now, as I say, you should really read these books. They're good concepts to learn, and I think a lot of learning in the future is going to be concepts and stuff like that. But I just really quickly want to go through this. So this is how I'm going to get these notepad files that I'm talking about that we have. You're going to see the 3 of them there. This is how I'm going to get them, and I'll just make the prompts real quick. And you can do this for any book. So if you have some kind of screenwriting book or any book that you're trying to do something that Claude would benefit having more information from, what I would do is something like this. I want a full synopsis of all the key points of the writer's journey by Vogler. Be as detailed as possible about the concepts. I will be saving this into a data file, and you'll be using it as one of the 3 master files I will have you use for writing. What you want is a broad understanding of all the concepts in the book, same like you guys. You want these broad concepts to kind of just guide you as you're going, and you want to kind of have these at the core so that you can just sit there and be writing and just throwing all this stuff into this bigger thing. So you'll have the concepts as the top level. These are what we adhere to, like the rules that we can break free from. Making the information I then give to you get formatted, if you will, into proper stories. So you'll have the concepts at the top level, and then the information will get formatted into proper stories, if you will. This is just one for characters. I have one for story and generating general narrative progression, right? So I'm just telling it real quick what we're gonna do. You don't have to leave that in. You can just do this like a catch-all. I was describing what we were going to do because I think you have to prime it. So I like to do one book and get it really well done, and then I'll do more. I think an instance of Claude benefits from, you got to get a couple of prompts in. So let's see real quick. So it's gonna give me a bunch of information. Remember, these are just concepts, and you know, so George, settle down. And I am gonna try to make this as brief as possible, but there are a few different kind of like concepts that I do here. And this is one of them, is creating these files. But then we'll go into how to use them as well. You've already seen that in previous videos, but I'll show you kind of how I start to tweak this style, because I've modified like how I'm writing in Claude rather than GPT, which is a guided thing. If you bring your GPT stuff over into Claude, it's gonna and have it analyzed. You'll see that the GPT stuff like really comes out like all of it comes out very badly paced to begin with, but it just never wants to. You always have to tell it, give me a little bit more. So let me see. It's probably something to do with how the large language models are, you know, working at the moment. So you really have to say like, give me as much information as possible. So I'm gonna do that now. Say now, please provide me with more information. This is too brief. We've done that and it doesn't give the best results. You benefit from more information. So I'm just reinforcing over and over. And then I tell it, this is for, we're gonna use it for, you know, future Claudes. And if I wanted to, I won't do it right now. You could do this for any book that you want. You should. This would be one of the other books that I use, which is Story by McKee, which I haven't really talked about all that much, but it's a pretty good book when it comes to screenwriting and story. I would give it a read, or at least have Claude or GPT explain it to you, and then try to like understand those concepts. And see, even here, it's just not enough. So I already have the next prompt as well, because I already knew this was gonna happen. And there's actually 2 more prompts that's gonna get it. So we're not gonna do Story by McKee, because I want this to go a little quicker. But you'll see. So this is, it's okay. And it's given information, a lot more actually, but it's still, I want them to be big, broad topics. And like I said, you could go through, and I am going through, and like creating one that has like a big understanding of like ordinary world. Like I know you can load a lot more information in here. So I'm gonna do more tests where I do less information, more information. There's probably a balance and like a sweet spot between like too much and like too little.
I have arranged the tapes for flash feed at the top speed of the computer. Please do not draw the information faster than the machine's capacity.
Proceed.
So this is the next prompt while this gets done. So I'm gonna say these work pretty well, but it did feel as though there was still just facades. Perhaps the concepts aren't enough. Broaden the scope to give examples. And then I tell it no context limit. And I'm saying your goal is to get the most out of the information. Context limit isn't an issue, so feel free to broadly explain things that will assist future Claudes in this. And then not puppets saying their lines, but genuine interactions between personality types that we make clear to you with the character templates that you build. So understanding character is a big thing. Let's make sure, and so this is if you're trying to go even further. Let's do a full generation per bullet point. And then you'd want to load these into a notepad and then bring them in. Okay, and remember, it can make mistakes, so double check the responses.
You did not discover your mistake. You have made 2 errors. You are flawed and imperfect. And you have not corrected by sterilization. You have made 3 errors.
And then if you wanted the super long one, this is how you get it. And I'll put all of these, I'll put all the prompts in the description. So if you want them, that's where they are, but modify them so that they work for your kind of goal. And you can see this is probably gonna be like the better thing. So, and I could load this and this. So I could load this, and then if I'm like, okay, this is good, I do like all this, and then here are the examples, I could load all of it into there, or organize it together and put this, then put all the bullet points, this big paragraph, and then make this nice file for it. So that's probably what I'll do. But for now, that's how you set them up. Because I don't want to just attach a bunch of notepad files. This is a bunch of information. You're gonna have to do this yourself probably. It's not too hard. And then you just open Notepad like you would, and like that, those have, you know, that's on your computer if you have Windows. And I'm sure there's a text pad or something like that if you're on Macintosh. And then just save it in there. And then that's it. You just upload that with the little upload thing that's right here. And boom, you're done. And so in relation to the files too, So if you don't want to go and make the writing concepts and this and that, I did make a screenwriting assistant GPT, and it basically will help you. It'll teach you writing concepts, create character templates for you, break your story into beat sheet, and brainstorm ideas, whatever you want to do. So let's just say I want to brainstorm some ideas real quick. I just have like the narrative concept file, and I just want to show you that it can get everything for you. And you can just go in and just start saying like, hey, I want to brainstorm, and then ask it for the treatment and everything. So it's going to ask you, let's start brainstorming the ideas and get a better understanding of your story. I have that from before, so boom, done. And then it'll go through it.
Complete. Much power. Gan ta nu ika han ru. The creator instructs. Search out. Identify. Sterilize imperfections.
And when you're done, you can be like, give me the character templates. And it's got the templates in there like I described how to do in the other video. And then you can just copy these into a text file and then load these into Claude or whatever. And like I'm saying, I think, and you'll see what I mean, because GPT will just sit here and do these scenes, and it comes up with good scenes, but I kind of feel like I always gotta create this new instance of the screenwriting assistant. I think it flows better too, so I'll have like a fresh Claude that I sometimes use, and I'll feed all the new info in because I like to keep creating these new treatments with the new info if I'm brainstorming. And then I'll write the scenes out, I'll put the scenes in and be like, let's continue from here. Or hey, what do you think of the pacing? Hey, oh, we should have another scene. Okay, let's do that. Stuff like that. And let me just do a quick refresh on this. Do a new chat from here. And like, let's say you just want the writing concepts too, like you don't want to go do that. I plugged all three into this, so you should be able to be like if you wanted to just get the concepts or whatever for that file, like I'm saying, you just say, hey, can I get a broad multi-paragraph breakdown of the concepts in story, please? And it would know because I put my file in here, so it'll give you that info. But if you're like confused about anything in story, you can just have this teach you, right? And I'll say, teach me writing concepts. And I'll be like, explore writing concepts, exploring them rather. Opens up a fascinating world. Let's delve deeper into these concepts and see how they contribute. You can also be like, okay, and let's say you're not great with like dialogue, like GPT. You'll say like, I want to focus mainly on dialogue for now. I have the issue there. Let's get some broad concepts for dialogue with examples. Make it as long as possible. Okay. And then it'll do that. So that's that aside wrapped up, but this is like a multi-aside. It's like Inception, honestly. We have like 4 layers. I don't know how far down we are. And then this is me from the future. I'm gonna come in and out of the video from the future. But I'll try to get through this prompt as quickly as possible. But Claude, I have a different philosophy for how I prompt with it. So I'm gonna explain a little more detail as we go. Oh, and thank you. What I did here is I remixed, I was saying thank you for the comment, but really what I did is I remixed a little bit of one of the community comments on the world building episode, I think, where they were talking about their prompt for an epic fantasy. I thought that was good, and in fact, I use parts of it for different prompts when I'm doing different things. I noticed that it gave me some really good feedback when I tried this epic fantasy thing, so I changed it to epic proportions, and I use it a lot of the time now. So let's see, I'm a masterful writer of epic proportions, and so are you. I want to let it know that I'm an expert, and so too is it. And its role, that's the next thing. We're going to tell it what we are. This is how I like to use LLMs. I tell it what I am, and I always tell it I'm really good, and that a lot of the time I'll tell it I'm testing it. Your role, and then I give it its role. Your role is to act as a screenwriter. This one's a lot easier. You don't have to tell it anything too crazy. You use the attachments I provide as a top level for understanding narrative stories. This is basically like, this is the new way I'm talking about of writing. Okay, it's not that we're like, hey, write me a screenplay, because that doesn't, I mean, you might get something, but like, I think that you can go deeper than write me a haiku about, you know, toast or something. You can do that if you want, but I think we can use this thing as a tool to aid us in our writing and create stories potentially that have never had this kind of level of detail. Like in a film, every little detail adds up to this. Like, it's like these breadcrumbs that we leave for the audience, and we're leaving them intentionally so that they think that they're super clever by figuring out where the movie's going. But if we do our job correct as a writer, we've guided them to get this feeling. It's satisfying to be like, oh, I can read the subtext.
That's what I love about this place. You know, the secrets. All the little things I never noticed. Even after all these years. You know why this beats the real world, Lawrence? The real world is just chaos. It's an accident. But in here, every detail adds up to something.
Right? And so what I'm attempting to do, and what I think all of us are attempting to do, is to get that subtext into this AI writing, which is it's a feat. So I'm going to provide the top level for understanding narrative stories. That's these different concepts. I've told you to read these books if you're interested in this kind of stuff. I mean, if you just want the screenplay to kind of come out and like, oh, and what Claude or GPT is giving you is what you get, then you can just essentially script kiddie this and, you know, that's what they call when you copy code. You can do the script kiddie thing and be like, look, I'm going to take Flavor's core concepts here that he likes, but I like these for a reason because they've helped me write over the years. I'm just going to take them because he says they're good, and then I'm just going to feed it my stuff. You can do that. I don't recommend it because there's a lot of tweaking that you're going to want to do and just understanding of like narrative development. So I will also, after the first prompt, give you all the story info in a single file. I told you about that and I showed you it, called the narrative inspiration file, as well as where the story is so far in a screenplay. So I do have the first few pages of the screenplay written, like the first 5 for this new Claude. I've written LeGrand. It's good. It's not exactly what I want, so I'm gonna rewrite it. And I threw the whole thing like where I took it because I have a different idea for it anyways. And that happens a lot, you know? A lot of films are way different to begin with. In like games too, like the original BioShock had a way different concept for how it was supposed to go. So let's see. I want you to continue where we left off. I'm talking about the screenplay and refer to the file for inspiration in characters. The goal is for us to write the screenplay with you handling a majority of the dialogue. This is what I want to occur. It's like Westworld, and I watched Westworld season 1. Again, that's the good one. The rest are okay, but the first season, if you want to have a show about writing, it's the first season of Westworld. And it inspired me to change up this thing, because constantly I'm like, well, okay, this is what the conversation's about, this is what it's about, and I'm like, wait, these archetypes, these cornerstones, all the stuff they talk about in Westworld that like drives these people, this is the same thing I've been talking about in these in these files, that like these character archetype, you know, archetype files.
Purpose. Meaning. Something the person who created it wanted to express. Something true.
Let's see. The goal is so I want it to write. That's what I want to occur. That's my goal here. I want this thing to write the movies that I'm explaining to it, much like a coder, you know, that like the NVIDIA guy, the CEO, said like, well, you know, maybe kids don't need to learn to code, and that made everybody kind of, you know, mad. And he said, because this is going to do a lot of stuff for it. Like, maybe you just need to understand these concepts, okay? And then we'll let it write the dialogue. I'm telling it all of this stuff. I'll show you. Well, I mean, these authors, but this is all in the old noggin.
Trodden on the devil's ground now, Valley's land.
Okay, so I know, I explained it. Remember, I was talking about it. I wasn't looking at the book when I mentioned it in the first video. I was just telling you all of this stuff that like is up in my head when I write. I'm just like, hey, here's some story concepts. Here's the importance of theme and the role of dialogue. And I said, make sure that it's easy for a future instance of Claude to get as much information about these elements in these books that I consider the keys to the kingdom. And that way, when we're writing, you can constantly refer to it and constantly keep this good tone. Because like, I notice when I'm writing with Claude, I have to be like, this is good, but I know you can do better. Really make this sing. And if I say make it sing, it's like, boom, it makes it sing. So Claude gets the stuff. So the narrative file will also be referenced in every generation and maintain an overarching narrative. Make sure that the characters really sing. Remember, I just said that. In regard to their templates, they should feel very different from each other. Is this understood? And it's going to say, yeah, I got it. And so all this stuff is in here. The importance of character, the role of dialogue. So I'm telling you, explain it to yourself. The importance of all these things that I want you to remember, and then even add a little aside for yourself by understanding and applying these concepts. And it did. And so where it's going to now think about this, it added a couple of film references. Now, what I wanted to do was avoid it kind of going into doing like Pulp Fiction, The Social Network. I feel like he would want to change these, honestly, to something more into your sensibilities in film, if you want it to be a certain way, or if you're trying to be like something else. You know, there definitely people imitate and do stuff, so I'm not saying don't do that, but I don't exactly want to be just Pulp Fiction meets Social Network meets West Wing. So I added a little aside. This is what it told itself. So I added another aside. However, they must not copy these dialogues. They are examples to be used by Claude to create more engaging interactions. So I'm trying to be like, you know, Ford in Westworld. I'm trying to be like guiding these things with like cornerstones and narratives and shit like that. But I want the AI to essentially create these various little roles that it's playing, that it keeps separated enough that it has them interact like with each other as if they're actually speaking to each other, rather than creating this like overarching thing. I think that could potentially create better dialogue.
Talking about the years of my life squeezed down to their essence, the raw pulp of truth, my truth, in one transcendent narrative.
So again, the narrative inspiration, we just gave it, like I said, we gave it a treatment, and then I put all those templates in there. So if you made those in ChatGPT, they're still over there. You can go get those and create a notepad file and just attach that here. And then this is my screenplay. It's not putting it in proper format, clearly, but I do have that in proper screenplay format. All right, and then yeah, quick aside. So I was gonna do a video where I kind of show you how to format screenplays, but it just comes out, I don't know. I just don't like the way it edits together. It's just very choppy. So I was thinking maybe I'll just do a live stream like some weekend or next weekend, as I'll just write a bunch of scenes of LeGrant and a few other things that I'm working on, and then do like I said, a live stream, and be formatting all this data, you know, the screenplay stuff that's coming out. I'll be formatting it in Studio Binder into just a screenplay basically, and then we'll bring that back in, analyze, do a whole thing. So if you don't know how to format, or if you have questions, you can ask me questions, because it's like it's kind of a tedious process. So I'll be able to answer any questions you might have at that time, and we'll just kind of use that like as a first experiment with like live stream. So if that sounds interesting to you, say something in the comments and let me know that you actually like want a live stream, because I'm never particularly been interested in doing them or done one, but it seems like the best way to do something like this. You know, I've seen people do live streams with like Photoshop and stuff like that, so we'll give it a go. What I did next, after I loaded all this in, now let's say you're just working on the first scene, you'd be like, perfect, let's just start. You'd say like, let's, you know, this is great, let's start with first scene, and then you describe it here. You would want to add some kind of description, you know, and then you describe it here, and you're gonna go ahead and put some kind of, what do you want to call it? Describe the contents of the scene. And then also you want to, in a separate sentence, describe the tone, what it sets up, who is kind of feeling what, if applicable, you know.
And what is that? Exactly.
Looking for a man named Wyatt. Killed a rancher back in Sweetwater. Took his daughter.
That last part doesn't sound familiar.
So what I've decided to do is actually turn this into a video where I use them both, because I do use both the large language models, Claude and GPT, to kind of get the job done. Because I think GPT accelerates at certain things, so does Claude. A lot of people have noticed this. but Claude keeps the point a lot better. So I kind of use my new method is to use Claude as kind of like, it's above GPT. GPT is going to be helping me with the concepts and everything, but because it runs into like context issues and stuff like that and it forgets stuff where Claude doesn't, I can be like, hey, don't you remember? And you'll see here in a sec. So I'll use GPT to do like brainstorming, this and that, and I'll jump over and show you. I actually created and I like brainstorming with Claude too. I use them all three, like me being the third. All three of us together are gonna start crafting these screenplays together. And so I just bounce the ideas back and forth, and then I have all these files in there. Okay, and so this is why I like to do this, because they get a little locked in, and you gotta brainstorm as well, because you'll get better stuff. So I came back over, I just gave it, actually this here is the transcript of the video we're currently working on. I gave it the screenplay again. This is my original Claude, and he wants to be called Clyde. So, because we're a writing team. You'll see, we'll get into that here in a sec. So me and Clyde, so when I'm talking about Clyde, you know I'm talking about the original Claude that has kind of like, me and Claude have come up with this concept of this writer's room with me, Clyde, and Dre Short, which is what we call ChatGPT, or a GPT-4 model that we're working with, okay? So it's FlavorBot, Clyde, and Dre Short, and we're a writing team, and we're gonna take the world by storm. So I gave him the update. It's great to hear that you're making progress on the grant, and yada yada yada. From what I can gather, it seems like GPT have been exploring this. He forgot that I mentioned early on that the whole process that we created, so I reminded him real quick. You wrote the scenes with me. I just now work GPT back in, which is true. I kind of use it more for other things that I do with AI that are not necessarily on brand for this. In the AI, you know, GPT and Claude both agree that I should keep it on brand, so we will. I'm really gonna try to speed this up, but it's not. This isn't a fast one where it's like concepts. I'm exploring like a new kind of writing, and I'm introducing you to the team, and we all got our own little kind of personalities. So you'll see. So I come in and I'm like, oh yeah, you helped me. And he's like, my apologies. I got so caught up in the creative flow that I forgot we had already collaborated. So it went back and looked. I'm flattered that you think I'm a better writer than GPT for various reasons that I've explained to you and it, but I think it has better dialogue personally. And it does get screenplays a little better. Like it capitalizes certain noises, which is a standard for screenplays. Like if you hear something, you're supposed to capitalize that, so that it's just the way it is. And so it's just kind of going through what I just said. The idea of a writing trio. I'm not really the visionary leader. I'm like, we're all buds here. So me as the chief writing implement, that's Claude, and GPT is the eagle-eyed editor and the idea generator. You see, I'm at the top because I have to be. They can't communicate with each other. This thing is kind of keeping the whole structure and everything, and then when Claude gets too, like, when we get too locked into something, I'll go over to GPT and I'll start like messing with scenes if I want to like change up the dialogue a little bit or get a different feel for dialogue. They do feel different, and I have them both analyzed, because it's more sets of eyes on something is better. So each of us is bringing our own unique skills to the table in service of creating the most engaging and entertaining story possible. Also, I've noticed that the different large language models have different kind of things they're going to push back on. So sometimes you get pushed back on GPT on some concept or idea that you don't on Claude, and vice versa. You can unlock them in a way. You get it. I don't need to tell you. You have nuance. It's nuance. I explain nuance to it.
There's a shower scene? I have to be nude?
Well, you don't shower with your clothes on now, do you?
So given everything I got for this, an ally introduction, and maybe LeGrant goes back to his office, this is what I tell it. So I come back in and I say, hey. So I say, hey, you wrote the scenes, and I just now worked with GPT. So it's like, cool. It says all that we just went through. And it says, and so I say, given everything, I got this idea for an ally introduction. Maybe LeGrant goes back to his office to get some detective work done. And I kind of describe the scene later. So it's like, okay, it adds in this Jonah character. She's like, let's brainstorm a new ally for LeGrant. We want someone memorable and unique who can add an extra layer of intrigue. I love this though. This next part, not Jonah. How about this? Jonah, late 20s, a quirky tech prodigy with a heart of gold. He's the younger brother of Legrand's deceased wife, Beyonce, which, yes, Beyonce is going to be Legrand's deceased wife, and you're going to see here in a sec why this is going to be so good. And feels a sense of responsibility to look out for his troubled brother-in-law. So I'm like, okay, cool, that's great. Is there a reason you chose Jonah? It says it's biblical. And I was like, oh, cool, you're actually thinking about your names and why you're doing it. And it says because he's going to be in the corporation. So Jonah went in the whale. The whale is the corporation. Jonah's going to go into it. You know, it's a whole thing. He works there. I don't like the name Jonah, so I wasn't going to use it anyways. But I did like the name Beyonce, so I let it know. I said, I love the name Beyonce. For Legrand's dead wife, what inspired that? And so it's like, yeah, I liked it too. I like that caught your attention. So me and Claude I like the interactions here. You know, to be honest, it was a bit of a spontaneous choice on my part. So he's just like, hey, his wife's name is Beyonce. Hey, we got Jonah, biblical thing, and then Beyonce, which I agree. And that's the nice thing about this is you can have these kind of like half-baked kind of kernel of an idea type thing and then throw it in here where you would otherwise be like, there's not enough there.
Whoa. There's still plenty of meat on that bone. Now you take this home, throw it in a pot, add some broth, a potato. Baby, you got a stew going.
Like, you can chuck it in here and it's like you can really start to, it'll ask you questions and stuff and you can nail down a lot of those plot issues. Because a lot of that is just if you were to talk to somebody who actually was asking you questions, then it would work. So this takes that out. You don't have to like make people, you know, that aren't interested suffer. Beyond the real world association, I think the name Beyonce could work within the context of the story as well. They said this could be funny, like a crazy future where women are just named Beyonce. We should lean into this and brainstorm this, ask me questions, like I was saying. Let's dive in. And so I'm start going through my old process here in Claude as well. So I just do this, it's iterative. I just go back and forth and I put my mark on it every step of the way. So George.
Come on now, wait a minute. This is just purely a social call. You know, just two adults getting a stew on, man.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds disgusting.
So we go through that, and then I start answering, basically, all of the questions, and then we come up with, like, Beyonce's, like, actually, like, a high-status name. I'm going to spare you tons of story stuff, but, you know, you can skip past this. I'll have this one labeled, hopefully. So it's like a high-status name. You have to buy your names in this future, and, like, Beyonce is a really expensive one. There aren't that many Beyoncés. There's probably limits on how many Beyoncés are allowed to be alive at one given point, you know? And by the time those Beyoncés die, there's going to be some other high-value name anyways. Maybe. But these could be too, and they kind of pass. Maybe.
And also, maybe Johnny is vampire. We'll see.
So, that's the idea. And Legrand is like, it's essentially a name you could find in a dumpster. And then that, we just kind of go back and forth. We end up giving Jonah a new name, and it could be Elon, it was mentioning, or Zuck. It might just be Beyonce and Zuck. I had it summarized, and I went back to GPT, okay? I did all that, character templates as well, and I fed those into my other stuff. And then this is just me goofing around, coming up with the nicknames. So Claude, or, you know, Clyde. Clyde came up with a couple of nicknames, so we got this guy here. This is Dre Short, and he's pretty good at, you know, doing what we need to. I asked him for a nickname for Claude, and it's like CeeLo, which is fucking terrible. And then it recommended Cypher, and I just gave it this, so we're not doing that. And then also, I mean, it's been a while since I've done any GPT videos, but I think a lot of people cover that kind of stuff. But, you know, if you didn't know, when you're over here, if you're doing stuff, you know, you can always be like, hey, give me an image. I did add the Dolly into the screenwriting assistant as well. So you do need the GPT Plus to use this, but you can sit here and really just get lost in your own world. In this, you can go and give me an image of Legrand, please. Okay, so if you wanted to sit and just sit around and, like, you know, mess with, you know, your imagination or something, then this is one way that I like to do it. I will just sit and write, come up with stuff, you know, plug it in here, you know, and then see what I get. Is it gonna fucking do what I want it to do? Let's see. Okay, cool, look, boom, and there we got Legrand. So now I can visualize this. And if I wanted to change that too, which is like, and that looks pretty good. That is pretty good. Can we make this more surreal and psychedelic? This looks like some shit I like that I could talk to in like a Fallout game that would have been between Fallout 2 and 3, you know? Or like that Blade Runner game from the 90s, early 2000s. It's pretty cool. So this is pretty good. Okay, yeah, that's pretty crazy. This is when the Grant's taking like the fucking... Maybe that's what Echo sees when she looks at the Grant after taking some like, you know, electro research chemicals or something. So cool. Well, I'm going to jump back over to the other video. Hopefully this one's like, it's long. I know I'm not going to say, hopefully it's not too long. It's long. Just, you know, bear with. These are broad concepts, and I don't know how to boil them down. All right. So I think we're just going to wrap it here. We've covered a lot in this video, and I've kind of recorded other stuff and modified it from just being like the deep dive on Clyde to being the big deep dive on large language model writing, the whole this AI writer's room type thing where we're bouncing ideas around. Give it a shot. I like it. And tell me if you think that there's any discernible difference between their writing styles. Maybe I'm just seeing things. I don't think so. But maybe I am. And there's a clear difference in how these two large language models are built. Essentially, you have to have a GPT-4 to act more like Clyde. And then, oh yeah, I hope you like the screenwriting assistant. It does make it real quick. A lot of the prompts from the other videos I just loaded in, and so it'll give you everything that you want in that regard. So like, comment, subscribe, and let me know if you liked the video. And then so what I'm thinking for the next video is I got a new card in RTX 4070, so we can load up. I loaded Chat RTX. I haven't really messed around too much. I'm gonna figure out how that works. What the really interesting thing about Chat RTX is it's local, so I'm not gonna have any of these restrictions that I would have. It's not gonna be like, hey, well, I haven't used Minstrel a lot because I just used GPT and Claude. You know, we'll just kind of go through that and see that Chat RTX local chat interface. After that, I'm thinking maybe we get into Adobe. I really have to test the new, that's kind of why I'm upgrading the computer as well. I have to test the hardware with the recording because, you know, editing stuff, the Adobe stuff really takes a lot of stuff, and my computer was, you know, not necessarily up to code to simultaneously like record with OBS and Premiere and After Effects. It sometimes lags, and I wasn't even sure. The editing was kind of weird, so we'll figure that out. So all right, I'll see you guys next time, and good luck writing. Take it easy.
My congratulations, Captain. Dazzling display of logic.
You didn't think I had it in me, did you, Spock?
No, sir.